Thank you for joining in. Hopefully more people come in, but if not, then this will just be a little fun one with us. Before I begin, just like the last two meetings, if you were here, I start off with that we're recording. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. That being said, if you would like to contribute, but you don't want it in a recording, let me know. I will take it out. Oh, someone's coming in. I don't know why I have to admit people now. That's so weird. Let's see, is Erin here? Hi, Erin. Thank you for joining. I was just explaining that this meeting's recorded. If anyone would like to participate, but they don't necessarily want recordings of them online or anything like that, just to let me know. I'll gladly take it out. If I decide to post clips, we'll see what happens. Also, if we may be talking about different sorts of topics and different things depending on what the week is, what the book is, what the film is. So the example I came up with is, please advise if you're under a certain age, talk to your parents. Sometimes we talk about Lilo and Stitch. Other times we talk about boobs in a cage, which we probably will be talking about in this episode. Also, all opinions and discussions are encouraged. I love hearing other thoughts besides my own. A learning environment, a fun learning environment. Like I said last time, it's like you're going to school, but you can also bring cocktails and beverages. So on that note, just like I did last episode, cheers to Lena Luthor and Katie. This season 2 of Supergirl, Lena was framed, kidnapped, thrown off a balcony, knocked out, had to shoot someone, kill her ex, and almost forced to marry and have an heir to Mon-El. So cheers to all of that and to her. And I would say I hope it gets easier for our Lena Luthor, but we know that is not necessarily the case in some episodes. Okay, does anyone have something that they would like to share with to begin, or should we just jump in? Let me know through unmuting or in the chat. Okay. Awesome. And let me know if I'm going too fast, if you can't hear me, if I'm using the word too much, because I noticed that when I was reviewing the recording last week. I believe we did do episode 15. We reviewed it last week, but just to kind of get us all familiarized, Alex searches for Jeremiah while Kara investigates a series of alien abductions. In an effort to get Snapper Carr to run a story that would help her stop Cadmus, Kara agrees to set up an interview between Snapper and Supergirl. So there's nothing about Lena in this little episode description. But the big scenes for Lena in that episode is that she goes to Catco. They have a little luncheon. And one of my favorite lines is, she said with surprise in her voice for some reason, just the way, yes, we did talk about this last time, because the way her voice flows. And then kombucha can wait. Lena, once again, is always willing to help. And another great scene, and we also got a great behind the scene photo, is when Lena falls off the balcony and Supergirl lifts her up and says, "You dropped something?" So if anyone has anything to say about episode 15, feel free to say it, unmute yourself or in the chat. Okay. Episode 18 is a Lena-centric episode, which is wonderful. It is Ace Reporter. Let me get to that. Lena's ex-boyfriend comes to National City to unveil his nanotechnology breakthrough. Lena asks Kara to attend Jack's conference with her for support. The first thing that came to mind is, later seasons we do hear of Jack. So it's interesting rewatching these episodes, or this episode, with connections to later ones. We do get to see that scene. I forget what episode it is. I'm sure one of you knows. So we get his introduction and that they broke up before National City. We don't know much more about that, but then again, we learn about it later on. Aaron says, I love the Ace Reporter episode. It's definitely one of my favorite. Oh wait, and Aileen says that as well. Yes. So please feel free to share your thoughts on that. And I love the little like tidbits in this episode as well. You have the scene where I think Kara was grief baking, which is relatable. But then Lena is like, oh, I always have your back. What's your kryptonite? Just little kind of things that we think is funny and hilarious and have as also a deeper meaning. Another great quote is what was her name? Beth. I think it was Beth. She goes, behind every great man is a strong woman. And Lena goes, I wouldn't know. I've never stood behind a man, which is completely fitting for her character because you have these huge male figures in her life. You have to think about Lionel, who we don't get much backstory of, but he's, if you know kind of any Superman lore or anything, like my experience, Smallville, and a couple hearing about some comic books and stuff. He built the Luthor Corp, so he's very powerful. Then you have Lex and all that, I guess, power and prestige and testosterone. So being a woman in that sort of environment, you have to be a special kind of woman, and Lena's absolutely that. So that line absolutely fits her perfectly. And I don't know if that was originally written into her. I mean, maybe it was. Like, do we know what episodes she was supposed to be featured in? Because there's only supposed to be 3 or 4. So that would be interesting if this was an episode that was supposed to feature Lena, and then or if it was just written because they signed Katie on for more episodes. Going to the chat and kind of backing up a little bit. I still wonder how she responded to that. The kryptonite question. Yeah, that would be wonderful to hear what Kara would have said. And because she was like, oh, like chuckle, close, and they close the door, end scene. I wonder if there's fan fictions that have answered that, at least from a fan perspective. Then funny question, barring actual kryptonite, what do you think what is Kara's kryptonite? That is a great question, Aaron. Personally, I what is Kara's kryptonite? I think this season we see a lot with the Alien Amnesty Act, which in different that the theme. We do see that later on in seasons as well. Hi, Sam. Thank you for joining the meeting. We're talking about Ace Reporter, which is episode 18. And Aaron had asked the question, what do we think Kara's kryptonite is, because of the line that Lena said. I was just saying that I feel like Kara's kryptonite is probably her willingness to help aliens. She wants to see the good side, and not just aliens, in all people. I mean, she sees it in Lena, and that everyone else says otherwise. But in the end, what if everyone else was right? What if Lena was a bad person? Or as other episodes presented itself, what if there are bad aliens? So I think Kara just wanting to be this symbol for everyone can be a kryptonite. I mean, and that may be coming from my experience myself, just because I am altruistic and I will help anyone that needs help. I'll help make greatest enemy, all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's what I see in Kara and her character and me. Sam says Kara's kryptonite, Arlena's green eyes. On a lighter note, yes, thank you, yes. And that also brought back, Sam didn't hear this, but I said, I'm sure there's answers to that in fan fiction as well. There's definitely that in there. Aileen says, I think Lena is more powerful than Lex, and Supergirl is more powerful than Superman as well. Yes, and I think it was this season that it was brought up that Kara was more powerful than Superman. So, yes, 100%. And Lena is definitely more powerful than Lex. I mean, you can't be sitting in jail. Like, you don't have any power in jail. Even if he wasn't, he was smart, like Lena's smarter, all that kind of stuff. Okay, does anyone else have anything to talk about? Jack's intro, I always have your back. What's your kryptonite between Kara and Lena? Behind every great man is a strong woman. And Lena goes, oh, I wouldn't know. I've never stood behind a man. Because we have thankfully, lots of other scenes with Lena and Kara. Erin says, I like Jack. I did too. And I am glad that the storyline got brought back up. Yep. Lena is so powerful in many ways, compassionate, kind, helpful. What did you think about the Lena and Jack relationship? That's from Aileen. And if I'm pronouncing names wrong, just let me know. I want to be respectful that way. We didn't really get much on the backstory. I thought that it was like, I thought the actors had good chemistry together. I think they had fun. But in the end, like, you don't see, like, it's hard because he dies in the episode. So there's not really much more storyline you can do. And ultimately they did a little bit more when they brought him back and did flashbacks. The best thing I think about that relationship is that it gave Lena someone in her past that she could go to, but ultimately he did kind of betray her just like everyone else. Like, he was really her only friend anywhere else. We get like Andrea, but she's gone. And then Jack, and he's gone. And so then she comes to National City. So when Lena goes to Kara and says, can you come to my gala or fundraiser or party? You're my only friend here. It's really not just her only friend in National City, but friend everywhere. So I think having that type of person for Lena was good in the background, but then, she always gets betrayed, which ultimately led her closer to Kara, which is wonderful for the Supergirl series and for us as viewers and anyone who is Super Corp fans, because we do get the scene where Lena's on the couch and Kara comes in, and that she says she feels cold and calm, and that when she thinks about Beth in jail, she feels warm, and that loss does strange things. She says, loss does strange things to my family. When I feel things again, I'm going to be very, very afraid about the person I might be. And then then Kara goes, I will always be your friend, and I will always protect you. Aileen says, Kara and Lena's last scene of that episode is so beautiful. And that really solidifies their relationship, despite everything that everyone else is telling Kara about. I mean, how many times has Kara had to fight for Lena, and to just still be there for her, and as for us as a viewer to see it, because a lot of the times I feel like Supergirl says a lot of things instead of showing it. Like, they'll say something, and I can't think of an example right now, but they'll say something, you're like, oh, okay, that's that storyline. And then Sam says, yes, a little more backstory part. Just that scene where Lena points to the TV would have been good. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Does anyone else have anything to say about episode 18, which is Ace Reporter? I love the scene where Lena and Kara meet Jack after his presentation. There's truly no heterosexual explanation for how flustered Kara acted when Lena praised her there, or in this entire episode in general, to be honest. Yeah, there were definitely some acting choices that leaned towards the Supercorp. I 100% agree with that. And I see that more watching it now, because ultimately when I was watching these episodes, I didn't even know that fandom was a thing. I mean, granted, this is these came out in 2017, and I started watching it, and then later on became part of the fandom. That's also true. Yep. And then this started like way in the beginning, as I'm sure as you guys know, and I talked about this. I believe it was the pilot, and Lena goes, "And who are you exactly?" And that represents Kara in that episode about who she is. And then there's another example as well. Like Lena just kind of sees Kara. And unfortunately, she can't see that she's Supergirl. But I guess it makes it a better story for us in the end. Okay, does anyone else have anything before we go on to episode 19? I think Katie only signed up for the Medusa arc, and after that was solved, they saw the response to her and they signed her up for more episodes. Thank you very much for that, Erin. Because if you're just tuning in, I wasn't sure what episodes Katie had signed on for, and if Ace Reporter was a storyline they had pre-written for her or not. That being said, since it looks like it's not, how awesome is that to be a guest star, and then episodes later in a season have one completely focused on you? I think that's pretty incredible, and I think that's really great. Okay, on to episode 19, Alex. Excuse me, sorry. A kidnapper abducts Alex and threatens to kill her unless Supergirl can get a notorious criminal released from prison. Well, Rhea has an interesting proposal for Lena. Okay, this is really the episode where we get Rhea introduced. We see her at the end of season 18, but she becomes this new mother figure for Lena, because all we see is Lillian, and Lillian's off doing all other bad stuff. And my big take is, and I think I talked about this last time, but I will repeat myself. Lena realized so quickly that Rhea was an alien with that Rhea says, "I thank the gods." And she doesn't realize that Kara is an alien with "I flew here on a bus." It just doesn't make sense to me. And then all of a sudden, the alien detection device is fixed, because last time we saw it, Kara had, the heat visioned it so she could pass through it and show that she's not an alien, but then it works. And I don't think we really get an explanation on that. Sam says, "I feel Lena's response to Rhea is like a traumatic response as a little bit of people-pleasing attitude." Yes, absolutely. And you see that also with not only mother figures for Lena, but also friend figures. Lena will go to Catco to meet Kara. She'll go like her extra way, and you even see it in like later episodes. Lena always like willing to help and all that kind of stuff. The device Lena had Kara tried was just a prototype, though, right? She was planning to distribute them, so it's probably not the same one. Thank you, Emily. That's a very good idea. Aileen says, "That's Kara's glasses that fooled Lena. It's not her fault." Yes, glasses do fool people. That's so funny. Does anyone else have anything right now on anything we discussed before I just move on to my next little tidbit? Okay. One question that I hope you guys would like to participate in in answering, is there's this point in time where Lena doesn't know if she wants to work with Rhea or not. So she calls Carr, and of course, Carr is busy with all the Alex stuff because that's completely important. That's insane. Like she's like her mind is so preoccupied, but she answers Lena's call. But ultimately, Kara goes, I'll call you back. Then in a later scene, Lena is the one that calls Kara. Kara doesn't call her back. So my question to you is, and Lena says, "Oh, I figured it out. Thank you, though." If Kara had called Lena back, do you think anything would have changed from the next coming episodes in the finale? Meaning, Kara knew who Rhea was. Do you think that Kara would have figured it out sooner, that she was in the works with it and this would have all happened? Or do you think that Kara would have been supportive of her going with this new partner? So if you would like to share your thoughts, or if you have any questions on my question and I need to explain it more, let me know. Because I personally think that nothing much would have changed because Kara is the one that told Lena to go to Lillian in those episodes back to go visit your mother in prison or jail, wherever she was. Because I think Kara had said, well, she's still your family. And for Lena, that's huge for her character because she's had so many family members and people betray her. So for me, it's interesting. And I remember looking at that scene and going, no, Carl, like, why would you have someone who's like, go back to like, I don't know. That's my little Katie rage for this little segment. If you tuned in last week, my Katie rage was no one believing in Lena. But so my Katie rage is that Kara like knew Lillian was bad, but told Lena to give her a chance. I don't know. I didn't think that was the best look. But it progressed episode, so I get it. Emily says, I think it would depend on whether Lena mentions Rhea's name or not, because Kara would probably support her working with an alien partner, not just a specific one. Yes. Yeah. Sam says, I think Kara would have done everything in her power to stop Lena to do that joint venture with Rhea because she knows how many times Lena has been betrayed. Yes. Yeah. Emily also adds, yeah, I don't encourage her to visit Lillian either. Yeah. And I get why they had to do that in the episode. And at this point, Kara is still kind of learning about different types of aliens. Are they good? Are they bad? Like, depending, like, that's kind of the whole premise of the season in some aspects. And she also doesn't know, was that before or after Medusa? So she's just learning about her own parents, and because Kara's perspective is she would give anything to see her own parents again in real form because she has those holograms, but just to hug them again and to hold them and to really talk to them as they were. So I understand that perspective, giving that to Lena, but I wonder if Kara would say the same thing after learning all the stuff that her parents did, or if she was placed in a similar situation where her parents were like Lillian. Aileen says, I think Kara always wants to see the best in everyone, and that might be her kryptonite, actually. Yes, and that's kind of what I was trying to get to before when I was trying to explain the kryptonite. So thank you for putting that beautifully. I love that. Does anyone else want to talk about anything in episode 19? Alex, I know it was a very big Alex episode, very, very cool. So if anyone else wants to speak on other things about episodes, feel free. That is always welcomed. Aaron, to go back to Exodus and in general, when Kara was pushing the spaceship to stop it, The score was really great. It shows up a few more times, but it was really big this episode. Shout out to Blake Neely. Yes, that is awesome. Just the music in general and the sound is wonderful. For me personally, that means a lot, because I think back, and I don't know if anyone else thought this, because I was just kind of in my own little bubble when I was younger, but like Smallville, like I'll reference certain songs. I'm like, oh, that was a Smallville song. And then I'm like, oh, that's a Smallville song. So it can really heighten an episode and kind of change. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it can like influence like kind of what you're listening to and what what's kind of going on, I guess. And this is me saying again. Also, shout out, that is on Instagram, because in all my Instagram posts lately, I've been using the Blake Neely Supergirl soundtrack right there. So I'm so happy that's there, because that should be recognized, and I love to be using it. Yeah. Erin says, I'm a big score fan. Okay, so Erin, you are now our, if you decide to accept this, you're our score consultant. So if you pick up on any of that, let us know. Okay. So now we are going on to episode 20, which is City of Lost Children. It's up to Guardian to intervene when an alien that has telekinetic powers attacks National City. Rhea's plan escalates. I only have a couple notes on this one. There's only a couple little scenes. So you see Kara and Lena having lunch. I believe it's the Backstreet Boys. Erin says she's volunteers as tribute. Well, I mean, you don't have to volunteer. You can willingly volunteer. This is not a Hunger Games, like you're forced to do it. But I love that enthusiasm. So back to the episode. They're having lunch. I think they're talking about is this the Britney, like, would you rather scene, which I thought was very cute, because it's something that they didn't necessarily have to kind of add those little fun tidbits. Emily says that lunch scene is adorable. I love seeing Lena be nerdy just about relatively trivial things. Yes, because it also shows that she's not just this CEO, scientist, nerd. Like she's well-rounded. And it's also the episode of the quantum entanglement, yes, which is also a big feature in fan fictions. So I thought that, yeah, it's a very small scene. They didn't have to add it. They didn't have to do it the way that it was done, but I think it really presented Lena in a way that helped us love her more as viewers, and Kara to deepen her friendship with her, which then lasting for seasons on. The big scenes for Lena, I mean big, that wasn't a big scene, but the more episode featured was her and Rhea. There's test fails, and now continuously Rhea's being supportive. She gives pep talks. And then just go back to the chat quickly. Who knew years later someone would win Nobel Prize for this very concept? Yeah, I mean, come on. I saw that on Twitter, and I saw other people kind of saying that as well. That's very funny and very ironic. I wonder if they watch Supergirl. You never know. So you see Lena and Rhea doing the testing. And then suddenly it works. And then once again, Lena is betrayed. And this is the episode where she's thrown on lab equipment and gets and passes out, which also becomes a theme for Lena in the series. She passes out a lot. Was also a theme in Smallville. So just, I guess, I don't know if it's an easy excuse to be like, oh, like this is Superman, this is Supergirl. Like, you don't see the powers, but That's just kind of my thought on that. Does anyone have anything to talk about episode 20? Awesome. We're breezing by this time. Last time I talked a lot more. Let's see. Episode 21 is Resist. Supergirl struggles to decide whether or not to obey the president's orders regarding Rhea's latest actions. Cat Grant returns to National City. Erin says, because I'm sorry if I talk too fast and I move on too quickly. I will take longer drink breaks. This is also something I love about shows versus movies. Some things in the Arrowverse can be trivial and would probably be cut for time in the movies. The brunch scene would have done that in a movie. Could have done that in the movie. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I prefer TV shows over movies. Erin says, side note, I'm slow at typing. That's okay. I can be a long drinker. Like I'll drink for a long time. That's totally fine. I will give more time for people. Absolutely. Yeah, I prefer TV shows versus movies. I mean, you hear me talk about Swallow how many times? This episode, that's 10 whole seasons. I've seen some of the Superman other stuff that's come out. I think there's something coming out new like this year. But I would rather watch a TV show. So I haven't watched the Superman and Lois, so I don't want to be a hypocrite. But I rather watch a TV show than a movie. You just get more in depth. Emily says, me too. It just gives you more time to get to know the characters and attach to them, and also for the characters to develop. Yes. Yeah. The only thing is that the risk of it getting canceled. I think of in this universe, Legends of Tomorrow. I really would have loved to see more of Legends of Tomorrow. Erin says, I don't prefer one over the other, but I get different things from both. Yeah, that's very true. Like if you don't want to, like if you can't sit and binge or you just want something like an hour and a half, or I mean, some movies are now 3 hours long too. But if you just want something start to finish, absolutely, I get that as well. Does anyone else have anything to add? Okay. So we will go to episode 21. I loved that Cat Grant returned. I believe these two, like 21, 22, were last episodes. I'm not 100% sure, but I liked that she was back and that they kind of gave her a little bit of a spotlight for different, like you see her on the screen and everything. Just being a strong woman, because we really, really need those. And it was just great to kind of see her sass again as well. So Lena wakes up on the ship. She's in this kind of black dress, very Morgana-like for you Merlin fans. Rhea, despite everything, had pretty good fashion choices. So if she should have had a different career instead of, evil queen, fashion designer, wardrobe stylist. She could have been the new Kim Kardashian. She, because Kim was what, Paris Hilton stylist or something. That could have been Raya. So Lena finds out that she's going to be forced to marry Mon-El. This is done through threatening the Luther Family Children Hospital and other hospitals as well, because Rhea says, oh, it's not just the only hospital in National City. My big note is, why is that hospital always targeted? You see that in season 3 as well. So poor Lena was already threatened with that, and then come episode 3, and that's targeted again. Also, this is kind of a side note, despite Lita just moving to National City, I think it's pretty great that she's been able to set up this funding to have different hospitals named after her. Her name, the Luther Family Children Hospital. To get those sort of names on those buildings, you need a lot of money, and for her to donate that, I think is pretty great, because now you see different places all around National City with the name Luther on it. But for some reason, it is always targeted. The other notes I have is Lena in the red dress, which is boobs in a cage, as Lena would call it. I think that's one of the more iconic outfits for Lena Luthor. Does anyone have any comments or anything they'd like to discuss on that in her wardrobe, whether that be the black dress or the red dress? Which one do you prefer? Do you like the black dress or the red dress? Erin says the black dress. Emily says, I love the Morgana vibes of the black dress, but the red one is truly iconic. Yes, I agree with that. And it's also kind of like contrasts a little bit. Just because I was listening to, and this is thoughts kind of as I go. But in the Supergirl radio podcast, they talk about how Lena's first outfit is red and black. The I think it's like the suit in the suit jacket and the skirt. So it's interesting that those are the colors. I mean, just like it's the color scheme of Lena this year. Like you start to like she's in these dark colors, like black is evil, red is kind of evil. And then you start seeing like a little bit of change. She's in some blues and she's in the orange dress for the Ace Reporter episode. And then now she's back to the black and the red, which I mean, not her choice. That was Rhea, but it's still iconic. Sam says the red dress with the alien gun in the crown. And Sam says, yes, contrasting. Thank you for the support in that. That is my note, because we don't get a lot of scenes next episode, but iconic scenes this episode is that it's just so funny with the acting. You'll see Lena kind of in the background, and we talked about this last time too, because you see Alex in the background trying to grab the beer from Kara during the Thanksgiving episode. So she has the gun, and then you then see her when she goes to Manel and she's like, break that. And he's like, or she goes, break that. And he goes, this. And she's like, yeah. Like, duh. Like, yeah, just do what I'm telling you. Don't question me. Which, you know, if Lena Luthor was telling me to do something, you know, I wouldn't question it either. Does anyone have any more comments or ideas or questions, thoughts? It was Katie's choice to film that scene like that because she thought that Lena wouldn't just wait to be saved. I totally agree with her. Now that you mentioned that, I completely forgot about that. Erin says Katie loved that moment. Yeah, that makes sense, because you just have someone standing there like, what are you supposed to do? And that makes sense considering what she also just said about prop acting, that she doesn't like it, that she like, what does she do with it? So like, I mean, even if you don't have a prop and someone else is doing dialogue or something, someone's doing something, like what else do you do? So I'm very glad that Katie made that choice. I think it was one of the best parts of the episode, and it really, like, she really knew her character to do that, and then for it to get approved through the editing stages. Anyone have anything else? Because I do have a question, which may be a very stupid question, because I need to really rewatch all of them. I the rest of the season. Like I'd watch it while it aired, and I'd watch it kind of a little bit after. But so I will give that a second if anyone has anything else to say about episode 21, Resist. Yeah. In the ending part, I can't remember if it's the ending scene because I kind of went through it last week. Lena was in the fortress. And I remember Lena in the fortress later on. Was that recognized that Lena had been there before? Because my memory is saying or thinking that when Kara brings Lena to the fortress, she's kind of surprised about it and she's in awe and all, but Lena's been there before. Emily says, "Oh my God, you're right. I never noticed that. She should have recognized it." Okay, I'm validated. Thank you. Because I was like, whoa, wait a second. I'm like, what's going on? Because it was such a huge deal in that episode, or at least that part of the dialogue, and they made a huge big deal about it. But she had been there before, and it was Lillian. So it's not, and other people. It's not just this intimate moment with her and Supergirl and Kara. It was with other people in this life-saving situation. Yeah, maybe she forgot. But Erin says, I think they should have put that in the show Bible. What's the show Bible? While Erin types, I'm going to read what Emily said. I really appreciate the soft moment between her and Lillian when she says, "You came," and with such surprise. Yes. Yeah. I really liked that as well. I thought I had that noted down, which is very interesting. Maybe when I redid it, because I just kind of scroll things and then I retype things, I missed that. Yeah, because I remember realizing that. But then kind of jumping into the next episode very, very briefly, that Lena also doesn't trust her because, yeah, Lillian came, but, Lillian has a history of stuff. And that's why when she, oh no, was it this episode? I'm sorry. I'm trying to think back to my other notes. That Lillian programs it, so only they go into, they only program it, and then there's a backup, and Kara and them kind of knew that. All right. Erin says every show is something called the Bible. It keeps the show as consistent as possible. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yes. And is that normal? Like, is that online typically? Because I feel like some writers should reference it sometimes. I mean, you can't change the past with these writers and the people who are on. I thought Supergirl's a really great show, but some consistency was lacking at some points, which we'll probably get into at some point later on the season as we go through the different seasons. There was some consistency stuff, but like I said, I loved this series. I really do think that Katie did wonderful in it, and not just Katie, but everyone as well. No, I think it's mainly an industry tool. Okay, so then they should be using it. Okay, scratch my Katie rage from before. Like, this is mine. Like, I understand you get guest writers and all that stuff, but they should use it. Do a little research. I'm gonna write that down. Where's my pen? So I can come back to this later on. Bible consistency. Yeah, I'm just being petty. Okay. Does anyone else have anything to say about episode 21, Resist? Okay, so we will move on to episode 22, which is Supergirl challenges Rhea as she fights to save National City. Superman returns, and Kat offers up some wise advice. And then it says season finale. You get some good when Lena and Lillian scenes together. Lillian says, "You would be the Luthor who saves the world." And then kind of going back to what I said, like she gave the remote to Supergirl because she knew that Lillian always kind of has some agenda or something else that she's thinking ahead. So Lena has to think further ahead, which is why Lena is the better Luthor than Lex, going back to previous discussions today. But it's interesting that when Lillian says you would be the Luthor who saved the world, it's only because of an alien invasion, which is what Lillian had kind of always predicted. Like, oh, this alien invasion practically fell on Lillian's lap. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Like this was completely unrelated to the Lillian story. It happened to come at the same time that Cadmus was doing all of this. And so of course Lillian's gonna be like, yep, I was right. Like, you're gonna be the Lucy that saves the world. But if that never happened, Lena would have never gotten that validation from Lillian, because no matter what Lena had done, whether it was like no matter what invention, what like the nanotech, for example, if she had helped with the nanotech with Jack, like it would have only been an alien invasion that helped like her relation, like help Lillian see something in Lena. Aaron says, not exactly Supergirl related, but there is a funny clip of Sam Witwer, if I'm saying that right, discussing the inconsistency that he noticed one of his Star Wars shows. And and he was also on Supergirl, right? Was that season 3 as well? I think there was a live stream with Katie as well with that years and years ago. Oh no, he was season 4. Yep. Okay, season 4. That makes okay. See, it's all connecting now. It's been so long, so I really enjoyed getting back into this. But it's like I'm just brushing off the cobwebs or brushing off the dust on the books. But that's so funny with the Star Wars show, because I've only seen the first Star Wars movie. But I haven't seen anything after that. But that's a huge franchise. So for that to have inconsistencies seems a little bit different than like a little DC show on a CW network. You would think that there would be the Bible would be required. Does anyone else have anything right now to say about episode 22? It's Nevertheless She Persisted. Okay. Shout out to the title of the episode. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I really liked that well. And even like other episodes as well, I thought was they had really good titles. Like you get the episode 1, Adventures of Supergirl. It's iconic. Just like the episode 22, Nevertheless She Persisted. I really enjoyed that as well. Aaron, do you know what it's referring? Can you refresh my memory, please? And while you type, Aileen says, I like seeing Win and Lena working together. Yes, because the last time we saw them together was under the table, working on that device with the alien armed guns, excuse me. So I love that we get that. I wish we had more interaction between that, which we get a little bit later on. But I also feel like Win is also a hater on Lena because it's I mean, maybe it's a history with his dad and everything, but you know, Kara and Lena, like Kara always believes in her, so let's keep those scenes and not any you know, hating. If that makes sense. Okay, Erin. I don't know if she's probably typing. But if we're waiting, Elizabeth Warren was speaking and she told to be quiet and said, nevertheless, she persisted. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I knew I'd heard it before. I thought it was more of a literary reference. But that also makes sense as well. And I'm glad that they used that as well. I'm near Massachusetts. So I was actually there yesterday. I was on the Cape. Which I'm like completely sunburned. I don't know if you can tell. So I'm in pain right now. But I love when shows, and we talked about this last time too, shows take real day things and they put it in their shows because it kind of gives it this longevity of it. And even if different circumstances change, you can go back and watch it and still kind of relate to it. I think that nevertheless she persisted is that quote can be used for almost anything. So I mean, if anyone else has anything to say on that, they can. I'm getting tumbled over my words about it. But yeah, because Elizabeth Warren was speaking and was told to be quiet and said that. Erin says she'll try and look up the video. Awesome. We should never be quiet on our stuff. And it can be something as small as me talking about this book club and all that stuff. Like, I'm using my voice to do this. Is this something new for me? Yes. Can you tell? Probably. I use a lot. I've never done live streams like this before. But I'm persisting. I'm doing this. I'm committed, and I'm very, very thankful for everyone that has joined and participating and liking and sharing this stuff. It's extremely appreciated, and I'm learning through it. So it can mean something as small as that to something much larger. I know we are all from different places, so places for where you live or speaking out for things where other people live. Every day we have to persist. We have the choice to do that, and it's just we have a I don't know. I'm like, I got in a zone and then it kind of fizzled. But nevertheless, she persisted. I love that. And I hope that you are all inspired as well to kind of do stuff. But if not, then I'm just thankful that you're here with me today. Sam says, apart from the shows, I also rewatch their panels in the Comic Cons. Oh, that's cool. I remember a couple of the San Diego Comic Cons panels. I haven't rewatched them, but that would be awesome to do as well. The ones I remember watching the most were season 3 with Rain. So I definitely have to do that because I think that's an awesome idea. Does anyone else have anything really to kind of say or add? My biggest note from this episode 22 is that there's no real ending scene for Lena. You just kind of get her with Wynn building this and figuring it out, and Lillian's there being Lillian. And then it goes off and there's lit in the air. And then I do understand, like, it's a big scene for Kara and she's losing someone in Manel. So that should be the center focus. But I felt they could have closed the storylines a little bit more than they did. There could have been an ending scene with Brenda Strong and Katie, with Lillian and Katie, just because of their connection. They had this whole thing the whole season. I don't think that happens in season 3. I just wonder what that last interaction would have been like. So that's really what I like, my lasting thoughts on episode 22, and which is the finale. Emily says, yeah, it would have been a good opportunity to introduce Edge already, since he doesn't come completely out of nowhere in season 3. Yeah, exactly. And then from season 1, there's Maxwell Lord too. Like, where did he go? I just remember thinking that years ago. So yeah, they could have introduced Edge. They could, and that would have been very, very quick. As it just, they could have tightened a little bit of it up. So yeah, because they were CW then, because it was season 1 on another network. But, let me see. It's me saying again. Does anyone else have anything to say or they'd like to talk about? I know that Katie's new trailer for one of her projects got released today. What is it? Let me see. Gosh, it was on my timeline, everyone. I should have bookmarked it. Brown Bread. Thank you. Was this previously announced like months ago that she was in this, or is this like bread, like this brand new? Was it a surprise to the fandom? Just because I'm only really a month and a half from being back, so I'm not too caught up in the Katie news. Says it looks great. Has everyone seen the trailer? Emily says, I'm excited to see her in an Irish production. I know she's been wanting to do that for ages. Yeah. I wonder, is this the one that she was referring to in the Patreon podcast, that she needed an Irish vocal coach? Emily says, I've been wondering that too, maybe. Yeah. And this is showing at a film festival. Does anyone know if it's going to be publicly released, or is anyone going to the film festival? Aileen says, yes, we knew last April about that project, and they finished filming at the end of February. Wow, that's a long time. I'm glad we're finally getting stuff now, which that makes sense. If it's getting in the, oh my gosh, what is the word? The film festival soon, that they would kind of keep that a little bit under wraps. Okay. Oh, so I'm on Twitter. So thank you, Jazz. So updated Katie projects. The podcast series. There's Brown Bread, which is July 9th. Okay. Then there's a TV show, October, and then Everybody Digs Bill Evans, which is a movie in post-production. So she's already filmed that. And that's a 2026 release. That is based on our book, Intermission, that we will be reviewing tomorrow. To be honest, I procrastinated and I saved little wild animals. If you don't know me, very random fact, it's like every week I have little animals that I have to, somehow they come to me and I save. One week it's bees, next week is baby raccoons. Yesterday it was little baby tadpoles that had come up in my aunt's pool that I was trying to take her cover off. So we spent hours trying to get these tadpoles off, and those were hours I was supposed to be reading because I procrastinate. So I have about 100 pages to read before tomorrow, but that means I'm going to take really good notes. So I hope everyone comes tomorrow, same time, for our intermission book discussion. the movie Everybody Digs Bill Evans will be released in 2016. Erin says, my thought on the accent thing is we didn't see that project because the producers told that she couldn't do it. Wow. Or maybe she was recasted or recast. I don't want to say casted because that's not a word. Recast. If so, then it would be interesting to see who took her place. Let me see. Just trying to look at the other Katie news. Yep. So the film festival is July 8 through 13. Yep. Erin says, yeah, I bet they cast someone else in. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add before we go? Thank you for spending time with me and kind of going over the hour, a few minutes. I really, really appreciate you guys coming. Like I said, this is something new for me. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. So I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys had a good time and will continue to support and help me through it. Without your comments and participation, and last week getting off on mute as well, really helps me lead in the discussion. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Erin says, definitely hadn't read the whole book, but I'll be there tomorrow. Awesome. I can't wait. Tidbit of it with the book. I saw it. I'm like, yes, it's like 160 pages. I'll get through it. I got a month and a half because we started weird bringing back the book club. It's an extra couple weeks. And then procrastination hit and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, the font's big. There's not many pages. I can do it. And it's a slower read, but right now I'm enjoying it. I have to take notes to kind of help me remember a couple things, but overall, I think it will be a good discussion tomorrow. Sam says, thanks for making me a part of this connection. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Without you guys coming in and Sam, like you participated a lot last week, this week, I really appreciate it. And I can't help say it more. That's kind of what I want. And I've always wanted for the book club is a connection and just a really great community. And I've met some really great friends over the years for this. And so if, does anyone have anything else that they'd like to say or talk about? If not, then I will see you tomorrow. I'll give it a little bit of a minute if you are typing. And I will finish my drink. Well, maybe not finish because this is a really big martini. But Emily says, it was a lot of fun. I love discussing the show with someone. I only discovered it this February and have so many thoughts about it and no one to share them with. Haha. And Sam says, bye, take care. Thank you. Emily, absolutely. What season are you on? Because I'll continue the Supergirl route. Like, I'm completely fine with that. We can do all of Supergirl and then we can do other works as well. Oh, I've watched like 4 times since starting it. LMAO. Well, that works too. I've been continuously rewatching it. That's awesome. So you're an expert on it. You're a bigger expert than I am. That's awesome. What would you guys like to continue Supergirl, or would you like to do, I know Merlin was discussed previously, and there's this new project that Katie's getting released in July as well, so that probably wouldn't be July. But does anyone want to see? Okay, so Sam says let's go one by one. Okay, if anyone disagrees with that, let me know, because she's got the #1 vote right now. Let's finish with Supergirl. Then Merlin. Okay. Emily says yes, I agree. Okay. Awesome. And would you guys prefer, because we've gone, like, maybe we can do week by week. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. But I know last week and this week, like, we had to kind of break it up between separate hours. So would you prefer like so many episodes, like week 1 in a month, week 2 in a month, week 3? Or do you just want one meeting or 2 meetings total in a month? If that makes sense. Erin says, I'm liking the Supergirl rewatch now, and then we can move on. 2 meets a month where you can cover 1 season in total. Yeah. And then to Merlin, Erin agrees to Merlin. Okay, perfect. I think that's great. Yeah, because anything really over, I mean, I know we're over an hour now, but we're talking important things. Like it's logistics. And then we'll go to Merlin. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. And then and I'll talk about it tomorrow just so we can end this and I can let you guys go. We'll talk about more about the book of the month tomorrow, and I'll send this out on Twitter and or X and Instagram as well. But do we want to kind of go back to some book of the months that we've done? Because we've done some really good book of the months, and that was years and years ago, and there's a lot of new people here and now, so we may revisit those. So just have that in the back of your mind. If there's any books that we've done before, A Little Life, oh my gosh, what's some other, there's so many, Forever Amber, which I didn't really like that much, but The Name of the Wind was a really good one, but really long. The End of the World Without Ends, if I can follow it. So if you know of a Katie book that you really want for a book of the month, and we've already done it, please let me know. I'm probably going to redo one just to get kind of everyone as a community together, because that's really what I want to build. I want to build something that, I mean, the community is already very well built and established, but just a connection that we can all personally come to. So I read Anna Karenina recently because Katie recommended it. I really like it. I don't know if you've done it before, but I'd love to see that one. We did do it before. That it was towards, I don't know if it was towards the end of it, but I never read it. I started it and then I never finished it, and that kind of like life kind of took a hold and I didn't have a lot of time to do things. I really want to read it. My mom tells me, get ready to cry. But I've read A Little Life, so I've cried a lot on books. But I would really like to do that one as well. Again, because I need to read that one like fully. Sam says, yeah, we should do the read of the books too. I've become a slow reader lately. I might not be able to finish a book in a week. Yeah, no, then this is like a month. I mean, it was a month, it was 6 weeks. 6 weeks to read intermission, which is 167 pages is my version. And I haven't finished it yet. Erin says she's also reading War and Peace. It's tough. Yeah. That's a tough one too. And I think that's also on our Katie list because she mentioned that in an article as well. And then Emily said I think that was for Anna Karenina. Yes, it's definitely a very long one. It took me forever too. Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't read the book, if you read the book, come on in and hop on in, and we can get off topic too. We can talk about Lilo and Stitch or something or whatever. Like this is all like loosey goosey. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming in and chatting with me. I really appreciate it. So if no one has anything else to say, I will see you next week.